Welcome to the first episode of Arch City Sports, a daily St. Louis sports podcast covering the Cardinals, Blues, and St. Louis City. You can find our daily episodes on all platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever else. You can also find us on social media at Arch City Sports on TikTok, Instagram, and X. You can find daily content over there as well. Most of you guys that will be listening are from St. Louis or are around at other locations that are St. Louis sports fans, which is why I made this podcast because I really want to talk about St. Louis sports. I am a host of A2Z Sports Talk, another sports podcast, but that talks about all different types of sports. And I really wanted to dial in on the city of St. Louis and the Cardinals just starting their season, the Blues wrapping up their season, the St. Louis City early parts of their season as well. I just feel like it's a good time, and I missed just flat out just talking St. Louis sports. So this is my chance to do that. And today is not the greatest day to start, as I have my jersey on here. I was at the game, and the St. Louis Cardinals game today, and it wasn't the greatest game to start this podcast with, as the Cardinals lost Game 3 of the series to the Marlins today, 10-3. We won the first two games of the series pretty convincingly, which was really nice to see. Losing game 3 here just really started from the beginning. Kyle Gibson was great in San Diego in his first start. Today, the Marlins jumped on him early, scored 6 runs in the first inning, a 3-run homer by Jazz Chisholm, a 3-run homer by Nick Gordon. And after that, I feel like Kyle finally got a little bit of a rhythm going and made something out of the start. And I'll get to that in a second. I think this first inning struggle for Kyle, I don't know how much of it I'm personally putting some of it on the nerves that were there for him. Being a St. Louis native, going to Mizzou, now a 36-year-old starting pitcher that's been around the league, a veteran, coming home and playing in front of his I'm sure, family and friends and home crowd, a team that he was cheering for growing up. There had to be some nerves there. And he was throwing a lot of hittable stuff over the middle of the plate in the first inning, and Jazz and Nick Gordon both got a hold of him. So after that, though, he gave up 1 run in the next 5 innings, and he ended up giving us 6 innings of work. Now we lose the game 10-3, and it's hard to find good things that come out of this start or out of this game. But for Kyle Gibson to give us 6 innings, Ryan Fernandez followed him up, and John King, 2 of our lesser bullpen arms, so we didn't have to use any of the big guns today, and guys didn't have to go multiple innings. That's a huge plus, especially when you have the Phillies coming in town starting tonight when you're listening to this on Monday for a 3-game series. And the Phillies are an elite National League team that is going to take everybody for us to come up with at least one victory, hopefully more. So having the bullpen be saved by Kyle Gibson in the start was massive, in my opinion. Like I said, Ryan Fernandez, he also had a great debut in San Diego. Striking out the side. He went an inning in the third today. He gave up 3 runs, 2 were earned. And then John King, he went an inning in 2/3, gave up no runs, but it didn't really feel like that. He was getting really hard hit out there, so he didn't end up giving any runs up, but it wasn't some dominant performance by John by any means. On the Marlins side, Max Meyer, going into the start, I just had a feeling it was his day. I had a feeling it was going to be a good start for Max, and he went out there and performed 6 innings, 1 run, and 3 strikeouts. He was the 3rd overall pick a couple of years ago in 2020, and there's a lot of upside for this guy. He's now 25 years old, and he hasn't had many opportunities yet to pitch for the Marlins. I think this is only his 5th or 6th career start. Obviously, when they're all healthy, they have a lot of arms over there in Miami. So with some injuries, he gets his chance here, and he really blossomed today. And I think he has a really, really bright future. He didn't have a whole lot of swing and miss stuff today, but a lot of with only 3 strikeouts. But a lot of it was weak contact, ground balls, pop up, stuff like that. We weren't leveling him up. From my point of view, watching it, it was really apparent to me that we didn't have a clue to how to hit this guy. We weren't making hard contact. We were off balance with a lot of things. And I'm talking about Goldschmidt and Arenado were completely off balance. Goldie hit a dribbler right to Max Meyer in one of his at bats. Arenado was off balance, swinging ahead of it. And Max's slider was a big piece today for him. So credit Max Meyer and the Marlins for this victory, their first win of 2024. You look at that lineup. and it's really not that bad. You look at the rotation, I think with some injuries, it's maybe why they've been struggling, and guys maybe not living up to the hype that we thought they would be so far this year. Like Luis Ariz, who coming into this game today was batting under 200, and Jazz Chisholm hasn't been really great yet. Brian De La Cruz, when all these guys get going, I think they're above 500 level team. It just kind of sucks for them that they dug themselves this big of a hole to start the year. Moving on to the lineup, uh, yeah, it was really ugly. It was really ugly. Like I was just saying with Max Meyer, he was phenomenal today. Nolan Gorman hit a couple homers, which was really nice to see. He had not had one yet, and he got one where it where it went off Jazz Chisholm's glove. He completely had it in his glove, hit the top of the wall, and it fell out into the not even the first row, it was just on top of the wall for a homer for Gorman. Then he got one after the rain delay in the ninth inning. For a couple homers today, and he had all three of our runs batted in. He had two homers and those two hits. Everybody else in our lineup had three hits. It was just one of those days where the bats weren't going. One bat that has been really hot as of late is Ivan Herrera, I'm putting quotations around this a backup catcher because he's been getting just as many starts behind the plate as Wilson Contreras has. And so he came into this game batting over 350, and he finally had a hitless day and completely cooled off. But he's been a guy that you have to have in the lineup these last few games, and he's been a huge piece of why this team is 5-5. And being 5-5 when you face the Dodgers and Padres to start the year, and you win a series here, yes, it would have been nice to sweep them. Um, but it's really nice to come out of this series knowing you're 500 and you're without Sonny Gray, Nootbaar, Tommy Edman, and guys like Goldschmidt and Arenado really haven't been that great for you. Jordan Walker hasn't gotten going yet. And you're not getting production out of the guys like Victor Scott and much or and stuff like that. So I feel really good being at that 5-5 point. Now it would have been really nice to see the offense click today and get this sweep. I think it was there for us to take. So this loss kind of stings in that bit, but like I said, you can kind of see this coming with the Marlins being winless going into this one. Um, Victor Scott. I just mentioned Victor Scott, and he's a guy that has a lot of potential, and I think we can all see that with his explosiveness and his speed. And he showed a couple big moments in that LA series where and it's in San Diego where he really showed off the speed. And I just don't think it's all completely there for him yet. And I say I think it's known for everybody, right? The numbers are not there for Victor Scott, and I credit Ollie and I credit Mo for giving him this chance to start the year up here, especially with Nootbaar being out. You could have gone a different direction and not given him this chance, and I love that they have given him this chance. Now he has not lived up to what we wish he could have been. And we're not saying that he should have just been a complete all-star hopping into the season as a rookie. But he is definitely better than what he has shown. Now, when Lars Nootbaar is back, hopefully this upcoming week, he will be the guy that they will be sending down. I'm sure of it. And right after that, Siani. And Siani's a guy that has been amazing in the outfield defensively. He had a triple today after that rain delay. He's impressed. And again, Victor Scott has impressed in certain moments. He needs to tinker with some things and fix some things. And I think Memphis is the best place to do it because it's a lesser talent down there, and he can continue to play every day. I do like that. Again, I just love that he's getting this chance up here because he's made plays happen. It's just not been as consistent, and his strikeout numbers are super high. But when he has made contact, it's hard contact, so it's kind of like what you're valuing there. So I think he will be sent down very soon here for Nootbaar, but I think Victor Scott's not only 2024, or I should say, his whole career here in St. Louis is going to be very, very bright, and his future is very, very bright. But I even think in this year of 2024, he is going to play a role on this team and may even be back as an everyday guy moving forward this year. But there's just so many bodies. You're without Tommy Edman right now, who's going to probably be your center fielder, and you're probably going to move Lars Nootbaar to left and keep Jordan Walker on right. So those are your three guys, and then Burleson, you have to find room for him, and there's just a lot of bats. It's a good problem to have. There's a lot of bats that need playing time to stay fresh, and I think Victor Scott's probably the odd guy out as of right now. So he will be most likely in Memphis very soon. Let's take a quick look at the upcoming series. Like I said, the Cardinals are 5-5 after the loss today. A very tough Philadelphia Phillies team come into town. Game one is tomorrow night. We got Spencer Turnbull, who came off a tremendous start his last time out, giving up no runs in his outing, against Miles Michaelis, who had a great bounce back start in San Diego. And the Cardinals look for him to continue to move forward positively against the Phillies. Game two is when it gets tough for us. Not saying that Spencer Turnbull is not going to be tough, because I could definitely see him shutting us down. But Zach Wheeler versus the Cardinal debut of Sonny Gray. I'm very, very much looking forward to that. Now, Sonny's probably going to be on some type of pitch count. I would assume between 70 and 80 is where we'll probably see Sonny go. And Zach Wheeler, you can make a case he's the best pitcher in baseball, especially right now with Garrett Cole down and Spencer Strider down. Zach Wheeler is elite. And then game three, an afternoon game, we have Aaron Nola versus Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn will be looking to bounce back after, I don't even want to say a bad outing. It was just a couple bad hitters, a couple bad batters that came up, and he gave up a couple homers, one to Jake Berger, and I cannot remember who the other one came off the top of my head, in that fifth inning against the Marlins. So he will be looking to bounce back against Aaron Nola. Now Nola, this is a chance to kind of shove it to us. He was in the running for us this offseason. He ended up staying with Philadelphia. This is a chance to kind of rub it in. He's a guy that gives up runs, but he gives them a lot of innings. And so if you look at his ERA in the past years, we view Aaron Nola as this elite guy, and he's really not really not been that when you talk about ERA. When you talk about just giving your squad innings and giving you a bunch of strikeouts and swing and miss stuff, Aaron Nola is that guy. He's a great pitcher. He's a great pitcher. He's not that upper echelon elite pitchers like I think Zach Wheeler is, but he's a great pitcher. And him and Lance Lynn will be a showdown in Game Three. Hopefully, we'll have a win or two, trying to avoid a sweep. Let's look at the three keys to the series. The three keys to at least winning one game against the Phillies. That's kind of my goal. I just don't want to get swept by them. Winning this series would be amazing. I think it's going to be really tough. Game one is like the must win, in my opinion, because game three is a toss up, and game two is going to be tough only because I think Sonny Gray will not be able to go very deep in that game. So hopefully Miles Michaelis can give you a lot of innings in game one. But the three keys to this series, I think, to be successful in this series against the Phillies, we need Goldie, Arenado, and Jordan Walker. It's not one of the three. It's not two of the three. I think we need all three guys to perform well in this series. Now, Goldie is sitting at one homer. He's batting about 210 right now. Arenado is still homerless, and Jordan Walker is still homerless. And until today, Nolan Gorman was homerless. So it's pretty amazing that we're 5-5, like I said, with all these guys not really clicking yet, and we're missing guys, and we've kind of just been grinding out games right now. The bullpen has been phenomenal for us. But in a series against the Phillies where you are facing top end pitchers like Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, you're going to need your top end offensive guys to perform. And that's why you need Goldschmidt to perform well. You need Nolan Arenado to snap out of it. And you need Jordan Walker to get going. It was good to see him get a double down the line today, but the power has not been there yet for him. I think he only has one RBI as of right now. So hopefully we can get them all three clicking in this series. Now, Jordan Walker is in a tough spot, batting so low in the lineup. There's not a whole lot of guys in front of him that are getting on base. So that's maybe why the RBIs aren't there, but hopefully he can pop one out in this series. That would be really nice to see. Key number two of this series: can our starters keep us in it? Now, I don't think we're going to be expecting Sonny Gray, Miles Michaelis, and Lance Lynn to outperform the Phillies starters, but can they keep us in the game? Can they keep it a 3-2 game going into the sixth inning? Can they keep it a 4-3 game after going into the seventh? That type of situation. If we get to a situation where we're down 5-2 going into the seventh or eighth, and they've given up 4 or 5 runs, I think we're going to find ourselves in a tough situation. That's why key number one is so important, that we can score on these guys, because our starters need it. They really need it, especially in this series against Wheeler, Nola, and Turnbull. And then number three, I think My third key here is there is going to be some small ball that we need to incorporate in this series. Now, what I mean by that is we saw a little bit of it with Victor Scott and Mason Wynn, and even Siani in San Diego, where you bunt the guy over, you steal second base, sack fly, just anything you can do to possibly get a run across the plate without just relying on a home run ball or a double and then a single and just multiple hits. Something that I think is going to be super important in this series because it's not likely you're going to get a lot of runs against Nola and Wheeler and Turnbull. These are three really good pitchers, and it's going to be hard to put up a bunch of runs against them. That's why I think every run counts, and that's why I think small ball could be big in this series. I think the biggest key of it all, though, if I had to pick one that's the biggest key, I think it has to be the Goldie Arenado Walker. We're 10 games into the season. Arenado and Walker don't have a homer, and I think that needs to change in this series against the Phillies for us to hopefully come out with a couple wins and win this series. Um, but that's going to wrap it up for this Monday episode of Arch City Sports. I thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Like I said at the very beginning, you can find us on all social media. You can find our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. On YouTube, if you're watching this, or if you're not watching and you watch later episodes on here, it is very white behind me right now. There's not a whole lot of decoration. I have a bunch of stuff that I'm going to put up, and it's going to make it look pretty sick in here. So I hope to really inform you guys with Arch City Sports. It's going to be fun to kind of talk with you guys about our three sports teams here in St. Louis and even the Billikens women and men's team moving forward basketball wise as well. When those seasons come around, the women's team just won the women's NIT, which is really awesome to see. The Billikens have a new coach, so that's going to be kind of talked about moving forward here. But we will see you guys tomorrow. And hopefully, we are discussing a Cardinals win as Spencer Turnbull and Miles Michaelis take them out. Thanks, guys.